It's Mike Ness with my new friends, Lucero. We're going to do an interview. I've never interviewed anyone before.
Really?
I have a list of questions right here.
Professional.
Go down the list. And, I just, first of all, I just want to tell you guys, I mean, like, this doesn't happen for us very often where we got a band that, the best thing that I can have for me is a band before me that I love their songs and I love how they play and it's like cool, man. This is inspiring and it makes me want to go grab my guitar and play.
That's cool.
And I get submissions all the time and I listen to the CD and all the CDs always sound great.
Right.
And then you get them on the stage and it doesn't. So to me, it's a very rare thing.
Man.
And this whole tour, Frank Turner and you guys.
Well, thank you for having us. Yeah.
And I think the crowd really is picking up on that too, that it's a special thing because it's just, you can feel it in the air and it has, I think the main thing that I wanted to bring up is it has soul. And you can't manufacture soul. You can't get it at the tattoo shop. You can't buy soul. And so that's what I get from you guys, and that's what I like connect, and it's a kind of a spiritual thing as well as a musical thing. And so I wanted to just for our fans to get to know you guys and like ask some of your guys' musical influences. I know who I hear.
Right.
I hear a little Otis Redding, and I hear Springsteen, and I hear. But I wanted to get from you guys because it's educational for me to it's information for me too.
Yeah. No. For sure. And no, thank you. That's a huge compliment. I'm glad. I think the tour's going real well, and I think we're fitting together just fine. And so yeah, no, everybody's having a good time. But so yeah,
it's like Punk Rock Festival Express.
yeah. Right, and he works security.
I heard.
So it's like, it's like
you get a little bit of.
It's like double the pay.
Exactly. Yeah. Hell yeah, you're getting your money's worth. Hell yeah.
He works impromptu security here.
But I was just curious because I came out of the California, Orange County punk scene. But it's always interesting for me to talk to people from other regions of the country or other countries and find out what was going on for them back in the day. And
yeah, I guess, we've been doing this for a while. I think we played our first show in 1998.
Okay.
And so we've been doing it for a bit now. But I don't know. I guess, we're from Memphis, Tennessee. And John C. and Brian grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Yep. So, I don't know. What was Memphis like back then, before I moved there?
I don't know. I think Memphis, the thing with any music, especially the punk rock scene and anything garage and everything, a lot of stuff in Memphis was there'd be 100 good bands that you would never see being from California because they would play for 2 years, put out a few singles, and break up. So we always had, I think a lot of times bands that came to Memphis had a hard time like headlining or you almost had to be like, well, y'all are gonna have to go on before this band or everybody's gonna leave, and you're like, well, no, and but it's just you'll get 200 people there, but everybody's favorite bands in Memphis were always Memphis bands a lot of times, and that was just you get excited about the out of town bands because we make a good show and everything. But I think we were very insulated type community that we did what we wanted to, whether it was right or wrong, and that's kind of like how we came out. Different bands that did make it out of Memphis was nobody told us we couldn't do something, or it wasn't cool, or it wasn't the correct way to do it. And I think it makes for a real original sound and original scene type thing.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why Lucero started in the first place was there got to be kind of too many rules, and we didn't really want to have to follow anybody's rules. And if I want to play a slow song, I'm gonna play a slow song, and being able to draw from, on the last record, 1372, we added a horn section, and that was a big, half the people hated it. Some people got it, some people didn't. I love it. I think we all yeah, we
But
were all
it is
stoked.
definitely drawing from that regional thing of the Memphis sound to a certain degree.
Sure.
And the whole like, there's a whole thing from back then, like the whole like country soul, like Memphis country soul sound. It's not quite R&B, it's not quite country, but it's this thing, you know, that's always kind of happened there.
Black and white music,
Yeah.
you know, being
Yeah.
integrated, yeah.
Well, I think we're real lucky too, is that you grow up, you know, you hate your parents' music, you hate all that R&B stuff, all that stuff, and you're angry and pissed off, and then one day, you know, you're like, well, this is getting kind of, not old, but you're like, I'm kind of tired of this, and then you look around, especially being from the South and being from Memphis, you're like, wait a minute, that's Stax Records.
Right.
Wait a minute, that's Sun Records. Which is, you know, like, so when you're listening to the country or the R&B or the old rockabilly, rock and roll, it's literally like your Uncle Jimmy can tell you a story about, oh, I remember when Elvis came in the store, or oh, that's so-and-so, and, you know, like, you're just, it's a real personal experience.
Yeah, there was a lot louder, faster bands, and you can only get so loud and so fast before it's impossible.
We crash.
It's true. It's explode.
Well, I completely relate to that. You know, in California by the mid '80s, you know, punk rock has stereotyped itself, and you could be the quarterback of the football team and just shake your head and all of a sudden you're a singer of a hardcore band. And it was like, and yeah, and I love tearing down stereotypes, and it's like, you know, because that first wave of punk for me was like, no one, if you told Johnny Thunders he couldn't sing a love song, he would have cracked the guitar right over your head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there weren't, that seemed like the first wave of punk, there weren't those rules.
Right.
And
I think it was
and
maybe a little more open.
exactly. I'd see Fear and the Blasters on a Tuesday night on the same bill. I wouldn't leave there going, God, Fear wasn't very rockabilly, and the Blasters weren't very punk. You know, it was like it was one scene.
Yeah.
So I identify with that, and it clearly I can see where you guys have carved your own sound, and that's where, I mean, for us it was the Chili Peppers and Jane's Addiction and all these other bands that just saw that. It seems like at the same time they saw that happening and said, you ain't gonna tell me what to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then being somewhat isolated where we are, we find out about stuff like that, even what was almost a 10-year curve. Like we find out about stuff 10 years after the fact sometimes.
Behind.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm the same way in California.
No, I mean,
it's right here happening right in front of me. I don't see it.
Right. That's what I'm saying, you know.
I didn't hear Nirvana till he was dead.
Really?
Well, no. But you know, later on.
But just how regionalism and pockets of isolation can kind of forge what you do or what you don't do, or kind of.
Well, I think you see pictures.
I agree.
Especially back then, you would see pictures, and then you would be like, oh, must be what they sound like, or you know, like. And I think that was the thing too. Was a lot of times you didn't have the internet to go to. You know, you're reading Thrasher magazine and you get one sentence per band, and you're just like, I like that. You know, I like the way that guy's put together. Let's start a band that sounds like
that
what he looks like.
Yeah, I remember. You know, I guess it's probably the mid-'80s listening to Jason and the Scorchers going, someday Social Distortion is going to sound like this. You know what I mean? And it's like, because it hit a chord with me, you know?
Right.
And it was going back to that stuff that I had grown up with and abandoned for a while. But then I saw the relevance of it, and especially being an American band, you know, wanting to grasp a hold of your roots.
Yeah. And it's funny the course you have to take to get
Well,
back
that's
to
the thing too. It's like
something.
Full
seriously,
circle.
you know, 1992, 93. You're like, all of a sudden you're listening to somewhere you're in a coffee shop, you're somewhere, and you're like, man, Leonard Skinner is actually pretty good.
Rock and roll.
You know, and you're like, oh God, you know, I'm gonna just struck by lightning. But then you work your way back to T is for Texas, which is Bob. You know, and just you slow all of a sudden you're listening to, you know, roots music.
And to me, punk rock, that's what it was all about too, is the individuality. You doing what you wanted to do, even if your best friend was bagging on you for it. It's hey bro, well, you can make fun of it, but that's what I'm gonna do.
So no, I'm glad, I don't know. getting up there and playing slow songs for a social distortion crowd can be a little singing. Getting up there and singing "Mom" is it can be a little tough.
But yeah, I know, I do.
But
you know,
there's a part of me that loves fucking doing it.
Yeah, no,
Even if half the crowd's just talking
that's the same.
and not paying attention at all. I'm still like, fuck you. I'm playing this
It's
fucking
that
song. You know?
good feeling of when it was just me and you and Reiko on violin, and we're playing with faster, louder.
Hardcore shows.
Yeah, just be grateful it's not an arena with prearranged seats. When I opened for Neil Young,
Really?
yeah, he wanted to turn his crowd on to us,
Right.
So it was like, cool, man. But we're going on at 8 o'clock, when most people are figuring out what off ramp to get off at. And then, back then, it was early 90s. If we had 500 fans in that town,
Right.
they didn't know that when they got there, it was like, oh, you're
sit way in the back.
G30, you're up there.
Yeah.
So we'd have 5 people up there, 2 down there,
Little
3
pockets.
and then one guy in the front row with a tie-dye shirt going, "Cinnamon Girl!" I go, "No, Ring of Fire."
That's awesome. Yeah.
But I do know that feeling.
But overall, we're winning a few folks over.
I watch
Folks
the
that have never
crowd,
seen us
dude. I mean,
before.
I watch them every night.
That's cool.
And I cool,
Yeah.
you're getting it.
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
You know.
And no place I'd rather be.
No, I mean that's the thing. It's